Hello everyone, Mauricio here, and in this video, we'll show you a sneak peek of the progress this week at Starbase from our flyover conducted yesterday on June 21st. We know we haven't been releasing the 20-minute weekly update videos this past couple of weeks, but look forward to that coming out by Sunday. These are the most notable changes we noticed from this flyover, but we'll be saving the more in-depth information for our other two series. First, let's take a look at the Massey's test site. We begin with the booster cryo stand. In case you're wondering how we know it's for testing boosters, we can also see a booster puck shucker with rams for hydraulic testing of the 13 Cessna Raptor engines. We can also see the booster quick disconnect framework has been installed as well, known as the booster QD. It will support the fueling of the super heavy booster with liquid nitrogen. We can see structural support for pipework and the pipework itself creeping towards the booster cryo test pad as well. This pipework originates from the tank farm, where SpaceX recently installed 3 new horizontal liquid nitrogen storage tanks, probably to increase the liquid nitrogen capacity for future booster cryo testing. Moving over to the right, we see nose cone 31 has been removed from the nose cone cage test stand. It's now been scrapped, and part of it has been laying on the ground on the right-hand side of Massey's. We also see the bottom half of the nose cone cage has been moved over next to the top half, indicating the nose cone cage will once again be stacked to full height. Moving on to Sanchez, we look to the left where we see the foundations for a future production building. As indicated by the steel just to the right, we know this will be for the new ground fabrication building as it gets relocated from the build site to make way for the Star Factory expansion. Moving to the right, we see that the canopies have been installed over the nozzles entering the water-cooled steel plates, with large holes cut into the tops of them. We'll elaborate more on this in our next video, along with a render, so make sure you give that a watch when it releases on Sunday. Next up is the build site, where we'll take a look inside the mid-bay where SpaceX stacked Ship 22's nose cone onto the E-dome segment that we speculated might have Crew Starship hardware inside. Outside of the mid-bay sits a 5-ring ship payload bay, the first 20-hole single ring sleeved over an E-dome, and the skirt of S-26.1. Will all of these be stacked with the nose cone assembly inside of the mid-bay? And could this be tested in the fully stacked nose cone cage at Massey's? Let us know your predictions in the comment section. Now let's move over to Phase 2 of the Star Factory expansion. The first section of framework for this phase is now fully erected and is waiting to be covered with insulation and cladding. We also see footings for this phase of expansion are not being formed, going down towards Highway 4. We can also see the ground nearby. That framework for the next section is being assembled at a fast pace. Moving on over to the launch site, we see Ship 25 sitting on top suborbital pad B, where it underwent a spin prime test yesterday on June 21st, after an aborted attempt on the 14th. Meanwhile, at the orbital launch mount, the power rebar we saw in last week's flyover has grown massively. The rebar is now nearly covering the entire area of the pit dug by Starship during the first integrated flight test. Using the ladder as reference and the little Pythagorean theorem, we were able to estimate that the thickness of the concrete foundation will be at least 2.2 meters thick. We're approaching the conclusion of more than 2 months of hard work by SpaceX, drilling pilings and pouring concrete in the area surrounding the OLM. This rebar is what will help reinforce the concrete piling cap that is due to be poured under the OLM at a later date. This piling cap is also what the water-cooled steel plate system will sit on, and serve to reinforce the foundations and support the weight of the massive plates. As SpaceX gets closer to finishing repairs and upgrades to the orbital launch mount, we can expect Booster 9 static fire campaign to begin within the next few weeks, followed by integrated flight test number 2. Make sure you're subscribed to RGV Aerial Photography so you'll never miss a flyover update, and give this video a like if you enjoyed our content. For more, stay tuned for our Starbase weekly show on Saturday and our 15-minute recap video to release on Sunday. And that's all for now.